As you guys know, I'm all about reviving the church, specifically the mainline Protestant churches. I'm part of a big movement to reform them, which recently got a lot of attention from our denominations and from the media. So there still are a lot of great pastors in these mainline denominations that we're working with, but the problem is they keep retiring. So if we're going to really revive our churches, we need a new generation of strong, biblically faithful pastors. So if you're considering going into ministry, we need you to go to seminary and become a pastor in a mainline church. So if you want to be a reformed pastor, you should be a pastor in the PCUSA. You might ask, what about these more conservative offshoot Presbyterian denominations? Why not those? Well, the thing is, these denominations have a surplus of pastors, but a shortage of churches. That's why they keep doing church plants in movie theaters and stuff. But the PCUSA has a surplus of churches, but not enough pastors to fill them. There's a severe pastor shortage here, so the solution seems pretty obvious. Now yes, the elephant in the room is that the PCUSA has a lot of liberals, but like I said, more and more churches are losing their leadership, so if you become a pastor, you can have a big impact. This is literally the easiest mission field in church history. So if you're going into ministry, you should go to a mainline seminary, and there's a few reasons why. Number one is they simply have more resources. These are the old historic seminaries that have had generations and generations of donations. So they have bigger endowments, bigger scholarships, bigger libraries, and if you're a pastor in a mainline denomination, you'll probably get paid better because there's way too many churches and way too few pastors. Number two is that you can have a much bigger impact if you're a pastor in a mainline denomination. Because these denominations are often liberal, lukewarm, or dying, if you become a pastor in one of these churches, you'll probably be preaching the gospel to many people for the first time, even people who have been in church their entire lives. This really is a forgotten mission field. And number three is that the mainline seminaries are the historic institutions, and I think conservative Christians have largely underestimated the importance of cultural institutions because the institutions have influence on the rest of the culture, and that's kind of why secular leftists have been so intentional in hijacking these institutions. The problem is most mainline seminaries are liberal, so where should you go if you want to get a good Christian education and still be a pastor in a mainline church? Option one is probably Fuller Theological Seminary. Generally, this is a place where pastors go if they want a decently conservative education, but they still want to be a pastor in a mainline church. The only issue is that they might not give as much financial aid as some other schools, but it's still a really solid school, so if you want to go here, I would recommend it. Gordon Conwell is probably in a similar position where it's conservative enough and you can get ordained in a mainline church from here, but there still might be some financial concerns. But luckily, I'm working with an organization of conservative PCUSA seminary leaders called Theology Matters, and they have a scholarship program for a Master of Arts in Reformed Theology. So if you contact them, you can find them at theologymatters.com, they can probably get you through seminary and possibly get you a really good scholarship as well. And Theology Matters is working with the University of Dubuque Theological Seminary, which is another solid PCUSA seminary in Iowa. But the best school is probably Princeton Theological Seminary, a very old historic Presbyterian seminary. They have tons of resources, so they could give out really good scholarships. The thing about this school is it is a lot more liberal, but there's also a really solid evangelical fellowship of students here, so you're not going to be alone if you attend. Ultimately, the most important work for retaking these mainline denominations is getting new, biblically faithful pastors through seminary and into the pulpits of these mainline churches. So if you're planning to go to seminary for this reason, feel free to reach out to me at gospelfortheleast@gmail.com if you have any questions, or join our Discord server to get connected to fellow like-minded mainline Protestants. As always, we are doing this for God's kingdom, and this is an act of love to restore our beloved churches.